Lawmakers in the House and the Senate are now heading back to their home districts for their fall recess after approving President Obama's request to arm moderate Syrian rebels. But Joint Chiefs Chairman Martin Dempsey says it could take a year for the rebels to be trained by U.S. troops before they return to the battlefield to fight ISIS. Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Jackie Speier of California. Congresswoman, thank you for being with me. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
You voted against funding to train and equip these Syrian Why?
Because it wasn't a plan to actually train and arm 3,000 to 5,000 Syrians in the Free Syrian Army is not a plan. There are many within the establishment, former generals, who said it was lame, actually, that if you were going to do it, you need to do at least 15,000. ISIL is making about $3 million a day. We need to disrupt their line of income, and that means blowing up oil wells and the roads that they use to get those oil wells, those oil tankers to shipments. So I actually think that ISIL is something that we have to address. I think it is dangerous, but if we're going to address it, it's not with 3,000 to 5,000 trained FSAs.
But Congressman, I mean, this could be a first step. I mean, something needs to be done and done quick. If it's going to take up to a year to train these people, shouldn't this be going on immediately? Shouldn't the process already be in place? By voting no, you're saying it's a lame plan, but what's the alternative?
Well, I think we really moved too quickly, quite honestly. I think it's very important to get all of these other countries in the game, and by that I mean boots on the ground, and there has been a real timidity to do that. I also think that if we're going to vet these Free Syrian Army individuals, we need to think twice about the vetting system we had with Iraqi members of their army, because indeed, when ISIL came into town, many of them stripped off their shirts and ran away or joined ISIL. So I think there were still a lot of questions that were unanswered, and it wasn't a plan, there wasn't an exit strategy, and we were hearing from both sides of the executive street that, in fact, we were going to have boots on the ground, we weren't going to have boots on the ground. It is a war, it isn't a war. And we've got to come up with a script that we all can recognize is the script.
And Congressman, I want to kind of take you to this recent controversy surrounding the NFL. You've been on the front lines of this debate. In fact, you've called on Roger Goodell to resign. You sent a letter to team owners calling on them to change their domestic violence policy. And Vice President Biden just made these comments about domestic violence just moments ago. I want you to hear them.
Never, never, never is it the woman's fault, other than in self-defense. Never.
Congresswoman, what specifically do you want to see happen?
I want the NFL to take this issue seriously. And frankly, what they have done to date is pretty pathetic. One day they're putting someone on the field, the next day they're taking them off, putting them on. I mean, when someone is charged with domestic violence, they should be treated like a law enforcement officer who is charged with domestic violence. They are put on administrative leave pending an investigation and whether or not charges are made, and they continue to get paid. So I believe that they should all be benched. I think that Ray McDonald, the 49ers, I'm a big 49er fan. I don't want to see him playing this weekend, and yet the 49ers have made a decision to play him, even though he has been potentially involved in domestic violence, and it's being investigated right now.
Congressman, the new NBC News Marist poll shows that 85% of Americans say they're watching the same amount of football following these revelations of domestic violence. And the NFL, while 12% say they're less likely to watch. So, you know, I just think Americans are they just so enamored of football that they don't really care who's playing it as long as they're doing some good stuff on the field?
I think what that references is really Americans love football and they want to continue to enjoy football. I don't think Americans want to somehow support domestic violence by football players or frankly by, anyone throughout society. The problem is not just football. The problem exists in society, has for a very long time. We pass laws. They are inadequate. We have programs. We have battered women shelters around the country that have all seen reductions in the amount of money they have to serve clients and are turning away clients every day. We have 3 times as many animal shelters in this country as we have battered women shelters.
Congresswoman Jackie Speier, what a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.